Right.
The whole thing was just such a mess. I mean, that was just a bad time.
Um. So now that you're doing the tech reporting and all that, I think what a lot of us are interested in, because we're doing there's viewers on here right now that run some pretty popular webcasts. The Tech Buzz is on here. Computability, they're part of our chat room tonight. We're going to ask you some questions now about your show that you do called Windows Weekly with Mr. Leo Laporte. And now, is WinSuperSite and WinITinfo and Windows Weekly, these are all side, like your little side business for you in addition to another job? Or how does that work out for you? Or is this your gig, or what is going on there?
Yeah, it's basically everything. I mean, I would say for about 15 years there, I was independent, financially or however else you want to say it. In other words, not working for a company.
Okay.
But contracted. Well, actually, not for all of that. For the first 5 or so years of that, I had a plan at some point where maybe if I could write 3 or 4 books a year, that would make enough money and that would make some sense or whatever. Mm-hmm. I did WinInfo for years and years and really didn't get paid anything or much at all. And what gets you through that time period? My wife had a great job at the time and knew that I needed this time to kind of get this thing off the ground, and was gracious enough to allow that to happen. And of course, she's been milking it ever since, because now I make the money. But it's okay.
Okay, yeah, right.
I was a kept man for a few years.
Nice. Okay.
But eventually, what happened was the co-founder of what was Windows NT Mag at the time, mm-hmm. Duke Publishing, Mark Smith, called me and said, "Hey, we'd be interested in having you write for us. What do you think about that?" And I said, "That would be fantastic." And we were just moving back to Boston at the time, coincidentally. So I started writing for the magazine, and then he said, maybe we should buy your stuff, because at the time I had WinInfo had become, had its own website and so forth, and I had started the super site for Windows the year before, which was originally just going to be designed around the future of Windows. It was Windows NT 5.0 at the time. It was a big deal. It became Windows 2000, and then, of course, Windows Me came out, and I said, well, I should cover that too. And then you kind of branch out to side products like Office, and it kind of goes from there, and it snowballs. So they ended up buying the site and contracting me to continue working on it, both on WinInfo and on the super site, and also on print magazine columns and a weekly newsletter that's separate from all this stuff. So I did that independently for years, and then last year, really just to simplify things around such things as insurance and travel expenses and so forth, mm-hmm. I ended up becoming an employee, and I still get paid the same way. I mean, I still for me, nothing really has changed too much, other than that somebody pays my travel expenses, which is kind of nice.
Very nice, yeah, right.
And my health insurance is slightly less expensive, which is pretty good.
Okay.
But yeah, so now I have a position at the company, and I guess I go to more meetings than I used to, and I'll go out to their office occasionally and visit, and we'll do virtual meetings and all that kind of stuff. And they have events, and I show up at events, and sometimes I speak at the events, or sometimes I'll speak at the virtual events they have and so forth. So it's kind of a combination of things. My main focus is really still on the super site, as it has been now for over 10 years.
Okay.
But I write WinInfo every morning. I write the update newsletter every week. I write a print magazine column every month. We do the Windows Weekly podcast every week, but that's on the side and separate from the other stuff. And then I do those other things, whatever they may be, that the magazine wants me to do, if it's appearing at a show or appearing on a web seminar or something like that.
So Windows Weekly, what was the impetus behind that?
Actually, Leo just contacted me, and in fact, it was if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was the year we were doing that first home swap, so it would have been 5 years ago.
Okay.
Right? 4 years ago? It would have been 4 years ago. Well, 4 years ago. And I was literally, the people from France were here.
Okay.
We were going to leave, and the phone rang, and I looked at it, and it said Leo Laporte. And I said, I should probably take this call.
Yeah, I better take that call. Right.